Drew Brees returns as the Saints demolish the Arizona Cardinals, and a fourth down stop was the turning point for the New Orleans defense. Plus, LSU is 8-0 and number 1 after a win over Auburn, and the Pelicans are battling some growing pains as the season begins. What's already been a special season hit its halfway point Sunday, and the Saints are 7-1. I'm Doug Mouton. Welcome to 4th Down on 4. Sunday against the Cardinals, the Saints won across the board on offense and defense, but we'll start with the highly successful return of number 9. No doubt, the beginning of this one felt special.
I'm just grateful for the opportunity to get back out there again. I'm grateful for this team and grateful for just this moment and being able to have this moment.
Teddy did an amazing job the whole time, but having Drew back is special. You know, he's a special player, so I know we were all fired up for his return.
Brees said he had always targeted this game for his return, and Sean Payton said there were no play-calling limitations. And if there was any doubt about Brees' ability to make every throw, he put it to rest late in the first half on back-to-back plays. A 19-yarder to Dan Arnold, then a 14-yard sideline throw to Ted Ginn. Throws he made wearing a hard plastic splint on his thumb. And he said the hand got hit and was fine.
That's one thing you can't really simulate, right? I can do a lot of things in practice, but I'm not really going to say, hey, somebody run into my hand real quick. Let me see how this feels, you know? Just kind of wait and see how that goes, but it ended up being okay.
Brees said he shook off the rust in the second half on his way to an excellent 116 passer rating for the game. His offensive line was terrific again. They've had an excellent 8-game run. And in this one, the Saints ran for 137 yards without Alvin Kamara. 102 from Latavius Murray.
When he's in there running power, running duo, whatever it is, man, it's fun blocking for him. Seeing him run hard like that, it's pretty awesome.
Murray hasn't just replaced Alvin Kamara. He's taken touches like Kamara never has. And Alvin Kamara's 3 years in New Orleans, he's gotten the ball 30 times once in a game. Last year in Atlanta. Latavius Murray has now done it in back-to-back games this season.
I'm okay with it, you know. It beats the alternative, right? But, you know, I'm a big guy. You know, I try to, you know, hit what's there, you know, pick my battles. You know, I just try to make plays, man. But, you know, again, I'll never turn down the carries, the opportunities.
I don't know that you can win knowing that you're going to have those type of touches. And you know, we got in to the fourth quarter with a pretty good lead. So, but I was pleased with how we ran.
Winning is fun. You know, at the end of the day, winning is fun. And when you're able to, you know, go at a defense the way you want to, there's nothing better.
Go at a defense the way you want to for 510 total yards. And one of the great moments of the season came late when Teddy Bridgewater popped up on the Jumbotron screen doing this. The crowd cheered and called his name.
He was the starting quarterback, right? And he took on that role, not just the guy throwing the ball or the guy handing off the ball, but the guy being the in charge of the huddle and being a leader. And he did a great job with it. And I think the offense responded, the team responded. So I can't say enough good things about him. And I love the fact that our fan base has embraced him the way that they have, because he's a tremendous teammate.
And thanks to Bridgewater and Brees, the Saints head to the bye 7-1. Yeah, Brees and the offense delivered, and so did Cam Jordan and the defense. The Saints had the ball for 37 minutes. Arizona had it for just 22 because the Saints defense successfully got off the field, as Ricardo LeCompte reports.
1 yard can be the difference between a win or a loss. And the 1 yard the Saints defense kept Arizona from picking up midway in the third quarter completely flipped a 4-point game into a New Orleans runaway win. Perched on their own 30-yard line and facing a 4th and 1, Cardinals head coach Cliff Kingsbury decided to risk it and go for the first down.
One, you going against an aggressive defense that's going to be ready for it, And if we do stop you, and then we're going to put one of the most explosive offenses on the field, then, hey, as a coach, hey, go for it.
The call, a run for Chase Edmonds. Defensive tackle David Onyemata blew up the play and stuffed Edmonds for no gain.
I'm sure he whipped the guy in front of him and exploded in the backfield and made a play. A huge stop for our team, man. I mean, he's a monster in the middle.
The Saints defense won again, like it has all season.
We always had a finish mentality. And if we start the drive, we want to finish it, and they want to go for it. So as a defense, we say you're going to go for it, we're going to finish the drive on our shoulders.
We see it as an opportunity. We don't necessarily see it as a challenge. We see, here's one play. If we win this, and the ball's going to our offense, and mistakes are magnified on the other side of the field.
And this mistake ended up giving the Saints an 11-point lead. The D from that point allowed just 3 more points and kept rookie quarterback Kyler Murray in check, sacking him 3 times. The Saints defense held the Cardinals to 237 yards of total offense on Sunday. The 3rd straight game this unit has held an opponent under 300 total yards in a game. And the key in this one was to make Arizona one-dimensional. The Cards ran the ball just 11 times for 40 yards.
We felt like the last 3 games they played, in which they've won, they were running the ball more effectively, and fortunately we were able to eliminate some of those plays. They were shorthanded too at running back with Johnson not in. So it's more difficult to operate when you're just throwing.
A yard, the difference between a win and a loss. And the Saints defense isn't giving up much of those during this 6-game win streak. Reporting at the Superdome, Ricardo Lecomte, 4th Down on 4.
Good stuff, Ricardo. Thanks. Now, look, if you're looking ahead to the second half of the season, the Saints host the unbeaten 49ers on December 8th. Mark that date. Once again, here's Ricardo with analysis from the Superdome.
All right, Doug, joining us now is Rod Walker, who covers the Saints for our partners at the New Orleans Advocate. All right, Drew Brees, I think I was probably in that camp that thought, you know what, go ahead and take this week, take that bye week, and then go ahead and return against the Falcons. But I think knowing Drew Brees, I guess we expected him to come out here and what a show he put on.
I was in the same camp with you. I wrote a column this week about how he should sit out and, have two extra weeks. But, talking to him in the press conference today, he talked about he's a football player, and he missed it. He wanted to be out there with his teammates, and so we got his return today, and he, played well.
Yeah, I guess we shouldn't be surprised at what he was able to do, distributed the ball to a number of receivers, and using that bell cow in Latavius Murray, who for the last 2 weeks has put on a show, 30-plus touches, 150-plus yards from scrimmage. He's been playing outstanding in place of Alvin Kamara.
He has, and that's what's made this team so special this season. I mean, they lose somebody just steps in, and that, that's a credit to the front office for bringing these guys in, all the depth they have on this team now, and that's how they've been able to sustain all the injuries they've had the first half of the season. And here they are at the midway point of the season, 7-1, which is pretty phenomenal, considering what we thought about this team back in L.A. when Drew Brees went down.
Yeah, it's remarkable that they are at 7-1, and I think one of the main pieces to their success has to be that defense. And their defense, once again, being able to make this Cardinals team one-dimensional. I think the Cardinals only attempted 11 rushes against them. I don't know if we, again, can come up with any more superlatives for them.
Yeah, you look at this game, the game was still like hanging in the balance, and the defense comes out with that big fourth down stop by Onyemata. Saints score, a few plays later, and that turned the whole ball game. This defense, Dennis Allen's done a tremendous job with this unit that they just played lights out this whole stretch. And they've been why this team is a serious Super Bowl contender.
All right, let me throw this question out. Who do you think is the defensive MVP during this stretch for this team in this first half of the season?
Man, that's a tough question. I'll probably go with Cam Jordan just because he's really been able to put some sacks together, over this past few weeks. But DeMario's played really well. They're just playing really, really well collectively.
All right, so 7-1 through the midway point for this team. They've got the bye. I guess where would you have to put the Saints right now? Because in my opinion, I think they are right there with the New England Patriots, and I think they've played a harder schedule. They've been tested more than that New England Patriots team. I think that, one could argue they could be the best team in the NFL. Your thoughts?
I think they're definitely the best team in the NFC. I know the 49ers are undefeated, and but I think the Saints, you look at their schedule, I mean, they went on the road and beat Seattle. They beat Dallas here at home. And I think they've just played a tougher schedule. Went to Chicago and they've handled teams. I mean, they've made teams look bad and make teams question themselves the next Monday morning. Like, man, our offense is really bad. But that's more of what the Saints have done.
Yeah, it's remarkable. We're going to see what's going to happen in the second half of the season for New Orleans, but right now it looks really good for them. Rod, appreciate it. We'll send it back to you, Doug.
All right, thanks, Ricardo. Coming up, LSU has thrown up and down the field on most of their opponents this season. But against Auburn, the Tigers used their running game to outlast the Plainsmen in the second half. And later, the new-look Pelicans are winless through 3 games as they continue to get acquainted on the court.
Eye on the Tigers coverage is brought to you by Metro
Country in the new AP Top 25. The first college football playoff poll comes out next week before the Alabama game. I think LSU will be ranked number 1 in that poll too. Saturday in Tiger Stadium, LSU passed another major challenge, beating Auburn. Andrew Doak was there.
For LSU to earn their 3rd top 10 win of the season, it took grit, because it's a game that championship teams must walk away from victorious.
You have to. No question. I think unless the team would have not won that game tonight. They came to play, and, adversity hit us. We weren't playing very well in the first half, and, they got up ahead, but our guys kept on fighting. You should have seen this locker room. There was calm in the locker room. There was confidence. We felt we were going to win the game. Joe felt he was going to win the game. We did.
But it wasn't until LSU got their clock clean that they decided to wake up, and Joe Burrow took the brunt of the punishment. Similar to the hit he took against Central Florida, Burrow scrambled to his right, picking up 14 yards on 3rd and 12, and took a significant lick. 7 plays later, he launched it to Terrace Marshall, who put LSU on the board 7-3.
If your quarterback shows toughness like that, it can kind of get the team going. That's just what I try to do every day.
But late in the first half, LSU had to overcome freshman mistakes. Their first-year running back, Ty Davis-Price, had an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty that killed a scoring drive when LSU was leading 7-3. And just before their next series, Derek Stingley fumbled a punt that led to an easy Auburn touchdown.
finally gets to field one and then dropped it.
But just before intermission, Stingley made good on his mistake, sealing an interception as Auburn was threatening to keep the 2 teams tied at 10.
We were just all amazed, like, wow, man, like that guy's special, man. And that was a hell of a play, and he kind of bailed us out there. That was a really big play.
And a change in LSU's offensive game plan bailed them out as well.
In the second half, LSU wanted to get back to pounding the rock. And after the game, Edwards-Helaire told me that 90% of the time, Auburn's defense was giving their offense 5- and 6-man boxes. And trailing 13-10, LSU decided to hand the rock to Edwards-Helaire 4 straight times, and he led them to retake the lead.
Feels like our offense was on top of the world at that moment. We go down, 45 yards, 4 plays, and being able to pretty much run similar plays right down the field, it doesn't get any better than that.
We figured out in the second half, what if we just started running the ball? So we started doing that, and how many yards did we end up with? Almost 200? I had 47, nice.
And all of those yards were earned by both. Clyde Edwards-Helaire had what was arguably his best game in a Tiger uniform, with 136 yards on the ground, including 1 score. And 120 of those yards came in the second half. But Burrow's ability to maneuver the pocket and extend plays in the game through the air and on the ground was instrumental. He had 4 different runs of 5 yards or more, scrambles of 14, 5, 10, and 7, and all of them either picked up a first down or a touchdown, which came on a 7-yard Burrow draw and built LSU's lead to 10, 23-13.
Huge. And he was under pressure, and he made some key first downs. The quarterback drawing the goal line, obviously the go-ahead was a big down. Joe's a competitor.
Joe can do things with his legs that, that everybody thinks, he can just throw the ball. But if it's time to run, Joe can run.
Also, for the 4th straight week, LSU's defense played large, but one moment in particular stood out. After allowing Auburn running back DJ Williams to gash them for 70 yards, LSU safety Grant Delpit saved what could have been the difference in a win and a loss in this ball game by knocking out Williams at LSU's 9-yard line, and the purple and gold would hold strong in the red zone to keep Auburn to a field goal and leave the deficit at just 3.
To hold them to 3 points was really big and ultimately one of the biggest stops of the game. After a long run, we could have easily just let them score, but we buckled down and stopped them.
Ultimately, what LSU showed is that they can win when forced to play a different style.
I think we can win 7-6, and we can win 70-62. You know, we have great players all over the field and tough guys all around.
But now in 2 weeks, we'll wait to see if they can beat that team in Tuscaloosa they haven't in 8 straight tries. From Baton Rouge, Andrew Doak, 4th Down on 4.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. And heading to Tuscaloosa, Joe Burrow is #1 in the country in completion percentage, 2nd in passing yards and touchdowns, and 3rd in quarterback rating. And Andrew caught up with one of his favorite targets afterwards.
I joined by former Destrehan wide receiver Justin Jefferson. A big win over Auburn, obviously, for you guys. 3rd top 10 win so far this year. One moment that I thought was a big turning point in this game, Joe Burrow gets popped. We've seen that before, but it seemed to kind of re-energize the sideline, right?
Of course. Just Joe likes that type of stuff, and that makes him go even harder. So having a quarterback like that that's so tough mentally and physically, that's just a crazy sight.
You guys have been dominating through the air so far this season. I know probably you were expecting at least one game so far this year where you got to win in a different way. Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Joe Burrow, their running ability was a big difference in this game to me today. Would you agree?
Oh, of course, especially the defense they was playing. They was dropping a lot of people, so it was a little hard to throw. So, I mean, if they're going to drop back, you might as well put it on the ground and run it.
Edwards-Helaire was big on that drive where you guys retook the lead. I think it was 4 plays, and he got all 4 totes of the rock. What did you feel like that did for you guys momentum-wise?
That gave us a lot of momentum. Just having Clyde just run all over the defense. I mean, that's just a sight to see, and we're excited to have a back like Clyde, and he's going to continue to do what he does.
Like Burrow's rushing ability. I mean, I know it's not the most athletic out there, but it's enough to get you there, right? I mean,
of course. Just having a quarterback that's mobile, that can get out the pocket, that's a quarterback that we need. And Joe has been doing a great job with throwing the ball and getting out the pocket when he needs to.
Going back, looking ahead to next week, matchup with Alabama, we would assume it's going to be 1-2. How much different do you feel like this team is going into that situation, and how much do you just look forward to that matchup this time around?
They haven't seen the offense like us yet. And especially, we're going to come for their heads. I mean, we're gonna do what we need to do. We're going to continue to throw the ball. We're going to continue to run the ball. So we're excited to go against them, and we just want to come out with the win.
LSU wide receiver Justin Jefferson. Appreciate it, man. We'll send it back to you.
Still ahead, the Pelicans have struggled late in their first 3 games, but there's a lesson to be learned in our 4 takeaways from the season's first week. That story when we come back. 3 games in for the Pelicans, 3 tough losses, and a few things are quickly apparent. Our 4 takeaways from the Pelicans opening week. At number 4, the new Pelicans offense is running through Brandon Ingram. Ingram is the focal point. He's averaging better than 27 points a game and hitting better than 50% of his shots. He's been solid. He's a former 2nd overall pick in the draft. He came from the Lakers in the Anthony Davis trade with a huge upside. He's been an early, pleasant surprise. This is his 4th NBA season. He's gone from 9 points a game to 16 to 18 to now 27 points a game. Drew Holiday is the leader of this team, but he's never been the leading scorer. In fact, he's the Pelicans' 3rd leading scorer in 5 of his 6 seasons here. He seems more comfortable doing everything else, and having Ingram take the scoring load is a good thing. At 22 years old, he seems to have taken a big step forward. That's a good one. Number 3, and Ingram plays a big part of this because he's defending 3s and 4s, and he's 196 pounds. The Pelicans are missing Zion Williamson in a big way, and as much as anything else for his size. In 3 close games, the Pelicans are minus 32 in points in the paint. They're getting killed inside, and Zion's 284-pound presence would certainly help. Back to the positive side for number 2, the Pelicans are passing the ball well. They are 6th in the NBA in assist percentage. That's the percentage of made baskets on which there's an assist, and they're 6th in assist to turnover ratio. Those are stats the Golden State Warriors typically dominate. It's a style the Pelicans are trying to emulate, and so far they're doing a nice job of it. And at number 1, and this really is the number 1, the Pelicans have finished weak. They often look disjointed, like a collection of players who have no idea how to play with each other and no idea how to win. All 3 games this season have been close in the fourth quarter. All three were 2-point games or closer with 2.5 minutes to go. In all three, the Raptors, Mavericks, and Rockets closed better. And this is what takes time. Figuring out how to win and who are your closers. It's become obvious the Pelicans often have no idea how to play with each other, and that's expected of the 10 Pelicans who played Saturday night in Houston. 3 came from the Lakers, 3 were free agents from other places. 1 is a rookie, and there were 3 holdovers from last year. That group takes time, and the Pelican fan base is going to need patience. That's my number one takeaway from the Pelicans' first week. Game 4, Monday night at home against Golden State. We're back with more 4th Down on 4 in a minute. Next weekend, a rare November weekend where both the Saints and LSU are both off on the same weekend. We'll have a special 4th Down on 4 next Sunday to break down the Saints at the halfway point and LSU heading to Tuscaloosa. We'll see you next week on 4th Down on 4.